Welcome to all to my geospatial YouTube channel. In this group of video, I was discussing in detail about my research work. Accordingly, in the last video, I was discussed about the location of samples collected and sedimentological studies conducted using the samples and resource potential also discussed in that video. In continuation of that video, in this video I am going to discuss about the usage of temporal data in this research work. That means in this video I am going to discuss about the land use land cover modification, shoreline changes, and addition the seasonal changes of suspended sediment concentrations over the offshore region of Parkway coast. In addition, in this video I also going to discuss in detail about the bathymetry data processing and displaying the offshore bathymetry of the Parkway region. If you are newly watching these videos, please subscribe to my channel and click bell icon button. Then only you may receive in the future notification. Okay, we will begin in this presentation. Using the temporal data, land use land cover maps was prepared separately for the years of 1981, 1995 and 2016. The land use land cover map was prepared with reference to the NRSC classification in level 2 level. That means in this all the three seasonal land use land cover maps are prepared in level 2 NRSC classification. In case of if I am preparing level 3 means the cropland have to be furtherly classified into three categories with reference to seasonal cultivated lands. That is Kharif, Rabi and double cropped. But in this study, I was completed the mapping, land use land cover mapping in NRSC level 2 classification. On the basis, the land use land cover maps are prepared for the using the three seasonal data. The different land use land cover features are build-up lands, agricultural land, forest, wasteland, water bodies, and other features. The prepared map displaying all the three maps have mostly fallen within most major part of the area was covered within agricultural land. Within the further to understand about the changes of this land use land cover features, integrated analysis was attempted. From that integrated analysis, noted that the changes in land use land cover features for the year during 1981-95, 95-2016 and 1981-2016. Aerial changes in aerial, and addition I also the table also prepared to display the percentage of changes of the land use land cover features. The prepared table displaying major part of the changes are noticed in the agricultural land, particularly for cultivated land. That means include cropland and plantations are noticed with a major modification, major decrease of landforms, decrease of land use feature. And another aspect, the fallow land was gradually tremendously increased during this period followed by the agricultural land features. The tanks are the very notable modifications were noticed in this region, particularly in this part of in this research work. Tanks are subdivided into two categories, that is system tanks and non-system tanks. The system tanks means tanks are maintained by the PWD department, and non-system tanks are maintained by Panchayat unions. That we will discuss in the later part. This chart displaying the percentage of land use land cover features in the study area for all the 3 years, 3 periods. From that, notice that particularly in 2016, the fallow land was tremendously increased up to nearly 55% of the area in this study area, as changes was tremendous increase of land use feature was noticed. During the field survey, the different land use features, land use land cover features were verified, and the major modification of land use was noticed in the agricultural land, particularly the cultivated land. Further to detailed discussion, the changes were integrated with the taluk boundary, and notice that the major part of cultivated land was modified into non-cultivated land in the Tiruvadani taluk. Nearly 90% of the features are land use cultivated lands were modified into non-cultivated land. This graph also displays the aerial modification, aerial spread over 3 features in taluk-wise distribution of 3 features in the study area. That displaying Tiruvadane and Avudiyar taluk was the major modification with a major increasement of fallow land in this study area within the study area. Further, this modification was integrated with the village boundary to and plan to classify the vulnerable villages. For this analysis, 525 number of villages were taken into consideration. Because of these 525 villages only covered more than 50% of the area. On the basis of modification in cultivated land, the vulnerable villages were classified into 5 categories, namely non-vulnerable, low vulnerable, moderate vulnerable, highly vulnerable, and very highly vulnerable. Non-vulnerable means there is no much major modification in this region, in these villages. That is, and low vulnerable means less than 25% of modification, and 25 to 50% of modified cultivated land. Modified lands where villages were categorized under moderate vulnerable villages and high vulnerable villages, which includes more than 50 to 75% of changes. And very high vulnerable villages which are categorized under this category are more than 75% of changes. The map proposed this integration, the vulnerable villages are integrated into map village boundary shapefile, and that displaying in the southern part of the region was mostly fallen within the very highly vulnerable category compared to northern part. Further to in the steady area followed by the agricultural land, system tanks are noticed with a major land modification. That means in this within the steady area, the temporal data 1981 data was very large scale and small. The resolution of the data is very small, large, and very difficult to demarcate the tank boundary. And hence, in the survey 1972, topo sheet was taken as a baseline data for this system tank analysis. From that, notice that most of the tanks are stinky, occupied by the associated features, and the tank shrinkages are mainly due to non-available of water in this region. That's are the major reason for this system tanks modification in aerial spread of system tanks. To further discuss about the modification of system tanks, in this particular within the steady area, totally 806 system tanks are noticed with aerial spread of 271.66 square kilometer in from 1972, and the same 860 tanks are decreased with an aerial spread as 217.85. Further to correlate this modification with the correlation of vulnerable villages, correlation analysis was attempted for the vulnerable villages. That means more than 50% of vulnerable villages, more than 50% of cultivated land modified villages. That means near 360 villages were taken into this correlation analysis with the tank modification. And notice that out of 360 villages, nearly 251 number of villages are mainly due to this modification of system tanks. That's all the land use land cover modification in this particular research. That means in this particular research area. And in the another aspect of temporal data analysis is shoreline modification. That for this specific analysis, the DSAS software was effectively used. That we will discuss in the separate video analysis, the process of and calculation of EPR and another statistical parameters. We may discuss in as a separate video. Using the DSAS software, the EPR values have been calculated. From that, notice that for discussion about this shoreline modification along the 39 coastal villages where the modification of village shoreline changes have integrated with the 39 coastal villages, and the district-wise discussion was attempted. And then notice that in Tanjavur district, 2 taluks are there, that is Pattukote and Peravurni. In this district, totally 17 villages are there. Among these 17 villages, maximum accretion was noticed in Rajamadam village with a value of 12.59 meters, and maximum erosion was noticed in Ravutan Vayal village with a value of 3 meters. In Pudukkottai districts, 2 taluks were noticed with a 16 number of villages. Among these villages, Nattani Purasakudi villages was noticed with the maximum accretion with a value of now 11.19 meters, and the erosion was noticed in the Mumbai region with the Mumbai village with a value of 1.34 meter. The southern part of the study area, which is covered, which is fallen in the Ramanathapuram district of Tiruvannai Taluk, was covered with 6 villages. Among these 6 villages, maximum accretion was noticed in Marugur village with a value of 3.24 meters, and the maximum erosion of 2.48 meter was noticed in MR Pattanam village. Further, with the predicted, with the calculated the shoreline modification with reference to the predicted, with reference to the calculated shoreline modification among these 39 villages, the shoreline position in 2015 and 2100 was calculated with using the simple mathematical formula. This also we may discuss in the later part. The prepared table displaying the maximum of shoreline position was noticed with a more number of accretion in 502.47 km in Peravuni Taluk in Kuppathevan village, and Rajamadam village was noticed with a high percentage of increase in Pudukkottai Taluk. Similarly, other taluk also calculated and noticed that Melasthanam villages was known in Manamelkudi Taluk was noticed with an accretion, high accretion in shoreline position at 643.27 meters from the present day shoreline. Particularly in this Tiruvannai Taluk only, along noticed with erosion with a value of 116.16 meters erosion in Vattanam village. So, further to understand about the this study was planned to discuss about the offshore suspended sediment concentration. Before discussing about the suspended sediment concentration over the Park Bay region, understanding of bathymetry data is very essential. For that, profiles were generated along the east-west direction over the Park Bay region with bathymetry data displaying the very shallow depth with the max. Further to detailed discussion, the bathymetry study area was fragmented into 2 parts, that is north and southern part, and in the northern part the profiles are generally includes the area from Rajamadam to Manamelkudi to Rajamadam villages. Particularly in this region, east-west transect lines were generated. 9 number of transect lines were generated. From that, notice that maximum elevation range up to 4 to 6 meters, very shallow in depth. The southern part, in the southern part, totally 10 east-west direction lines were generated, and then from that, notice that maximum depth of 15 meter. From the overall analysis of this bathymetry data, this Park Bay region was noticed with very shallow in depth, maximum at 15 meter in the southern part of this Park Bay offshore region. to understand about the seasonal changes of suspended sediment concentration, different image processing techniques, particularly for principal component analysis and supervised classification was attempted using the Lancet series of data for the year of 2016, and different seasonal data were processed. From that, notice that in the October season data, there is always a high percentage of suspended sediment concentration was noticed near to Vedaranyam offshore region, and very high concentration of very low percentage of moderately percentage of suspended sediment concentration was noticed in the year of January, and very low percentage of suspended sediment concentration was noticed in July and October season data. That's all from this study. In the next video, we may discuss in the final session of this group of video with the preparation, the discussion about the coastal related zone maps, and a summary and conclusion for this research work. Thank you for watching this video. If you are not subscribed this channel, please subscribe to this channel and give your suggestions in the comment box. That will be encourage me to do the next videos.